The most dangerous thing about attraction is when you don't see it until it's already controlling you. Most men waste years chasing the wrong women, blind to the subtle signs that she's already chosen them, or silently rejected them. In this video, we'll expose the 11 gestures women use when they secretly like you, signs buried in female psychology that reveal more than her words ever will. A Stoic man understands your value as a man is never proven by chasing. It's confirmed by how little you need to. When you master emotional control and Stoic detachment, you stop playing into her tests and start controlling the relationship power dynamics without a single word. Every gesture you miss costs you clarity. Every signal you ignore hands her the frame. So will you finally see the truth or stay blind until it's too late? Point number 1. Her eyes search for yours in a crowded room. What does it mean when a woman hugs you and holds you just a second longer than necessary? You tell yourself it's warmth, attraction, maybe even love. But deep down you feel the shift, the subtle tightening of her arms, the way she measures your response, the unspoken question buried in that embrace. She's not just showing affection, she's reading you, testing you. Will you melt into her frame or hold your own? This is the silent test hidden in every hug. A moment where female psychology meets relationship power dynamics. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind or not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." The hug feels like a gift, but in truth, it's a question about your value as a man. She wants to know if your emotions are hers to move at will, or if you live under your own command. In the ancient world, a Stoic soldier returning home would embrace his family, but never lose the posture of his station. His touch carried warmth, but his spirit remained unshaken by longing or fear. Today, the battlefield has changed. It's not arrows and shields. It's her body pressing into yours, waiting for your guard to drop. It's the pull to prove something, to show you're invested. Instead of holding to masculine control and emotional discipline, if you fail here, you hand her the frame without a word. You tell her silently that your boundaries dissolve with a little softness. If you pass, you stay grounded, calm still. You give without losing yourself. This is Stoic detachment, warmth without dependence, presence without surrender. The challenge is simple to say, brutal to live. The next time her arms wrap around you, breathe once and feel nothing you can't control. If you can't pass this test, you will fail greater ones later. So ask yourself, is your touch an act of choice or an act of need? And if you think the test ends when the hug does, you're about to learn how her silence speaks louder than her words. Point number 2. She mirrors your movements without realizing it. Have you ever noticed her adjusting her posture right after you do, or sipping her drink the moment you lift yours? You think it's a coincidence? It's not. It's one of the oldest, quietest tells in female psychology, the unconscious mirroring that happens when attraction takes root. But here's the danger. Men with no emotional discipline mistake this as a green light to overinvest. They lean in, chase harder, try to lock down what was already moving in their direction, and in doing so they kill the very pull that created it. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." Freedom in this context is not chasing the comfort of confirmation. The mirroring you see is not an invitation to give away your frame. It's a reflection of the value you already hold as a man. Your job is not to feed it. Your job is to remain the source. In the Roman courts, a seasoned orator would hold the attention of the Senate without flinching at nods, smirks, or murmurs of approval. He spoke for his purpose, not their reaction. In modern dating, the same law applies. When she unconsciously sinks to your pace, your gestures, your stillness, it's a form of submission to your masculine control. Break that by reacting, and you shift the relationship power dynamics in her favor. Keep your rhythm steady, and you reinforce that her mirroring is her choice, not your pursuit. This is where Stoic silence becomes your ally. No need to point it out. No need to alter your energy. Just lead invisibly. The mirror will keep following as long as you retain the frame. So the next time you notice her movements matching yours, ask yourself, do you keep leading? Or do you break the spell by chasing its reflection? Because if you think her mirroring is the loudest sign, wait until you see how she softens her voice when speaking only to you. Point number 3. Her tone softens when speaking to you. Why does her voice change when she speaks to you? Louder with her friends, sharp with strangers. But when it's you, it drops. Softer, slower, almost like she's wrapping her words in velvet. Most men take this as pure sweetness, a sign she's letting you in. But understand this. In female psychology, a softened tone is not always innocence. Sometimes it's a tactic, a way to lower your guard, to draw you closer while she quietly measures your value as a man. If you rush to fill that softness with validation, you shift the relationship power dynamics in her favor without realizing it. Epictetus said, "When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings." The modern translation here is simple. When her tone changes, don't assume it's for you. Assume it's for the test. Emotional discipline means hearing her warmth without becoming dependent on it. In the courts of ancient Rome, senators learned to listen to flattery without letting it sway their judgment. They knew honeyed words could be as dangerous as open threats. In modern relationships, the same principle holds. Her softened tone might signal attraction, yes, but it could just as easily be a lure, a way to pull you into emotional compliance. Stoic detachment keeps you centered. You acknowledge the change, but your actions remain anchored in your own masculine control. The practice is this. The next time she speaks to you with that lowered, intimate voice, breathe. Let silence sit between her words and your reaction. Choose whether you move forward instead of being pulled forward. Because if her voice has the power to move you, wait until you see what happens when she starts finding small excuses to be physically closer. Point number 4. She creates small excuses to be physically close. Ever notice how she just happens to sit a little closer than needed? Reaches past you for something she could have gotten another way, or stands so her arm brushes yours in a crowded room. These aren't accidents. In female psychology, proximity is currency. The closer she gets, the more she's studying your response. And here's where most men fail. They take every touch as a win, as proof of value as a man, and they start performing for more of it. In that moment, they lose masculine control and hand her the frame. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind and not outside events." She's the outside event. Your power is not in preventing her closeness, but in mastering your reaction to it. That's where Stoic detachment lives, not in avoidance, but in the refusal to let her gestures dictate your emotional state. Picture the Stoic general returning from war. Crowds press against him, hands reaching, voices calling his name. He walks with steady pace, acknowledging the presence without breaking stride. That's emotional discipline. In the modern world, her nearness is your test, and will you anchor or will you lean? When she closes the gap, she's not just signaling attraction. She's also learning your boundaries. If you shift toward her every time, you teach her she can pull your focus at will. If you stay calm, grounded, and let the moment pass without chasing more, you teach her that your frame is unshakable. So the next time she finds that reason to brush against you, let her, but don't flinch toward it. Don't reward it with obvious hunger. Hold still and let her wonder why you're not already hers. Because if closeness is her bait, wait until you feel how her laughter lingers, just a little too long after the joke fades. Point number 5. Her laughter lingers longer than the joke deserves. Why does she keep laughing? Long after the joke's over. At first it feels flattering, her eyes lock on yours, her smile won't fade, and her laughter spills into a silence you didn't expect. But in female psychology, lingering laughter is more than amusement. It's an invitation laced with a test. She's opening a small emotional door and watching whether you'll walk through like a man in control or stumble in like a boy chasing approval. Most men hear that extra beat of laughter and rush to fill it with more jokes, more words, more effort. And in that overreach, they lose the relationship power dynamics. Seneca once said, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." If you're always trying to keep her entertained, you become predictable. And predictable men lose their edge. Stoic detachment means you let the laughter breathe without scrambling to extend it. You don't feed it, you own it by silence. In the marketplaces of Rome, skilled orators knew when to stop speaking, letting the crowd's reaction hang in the air. That pause made their words heavier, their presence sharper. Modern masculine control works the same way. If her laughter lingers, let it die on its own. Hold your frame. Keep your emotional discipline. She'll feel the absence of your need, and that absence becomes your power. The mental challenge is this. The next time her laughter stretches beyond the moment, say nothing. Let her carry the silence. Let her wonder what you're thinking. That's how you shift from entertainer to enigma. Because if her laughter is the thread pulling you closer, wait until you see the way she starts adjusting her appearance. When you walk into the room, point number 6. She subtly preens or adjusts her appearance in your presence. Have you ever watched her tuck her hair behind her ear when you enter? Straighten her posture, smooth her dress, or glance at her reflection in her phone screen? To the untrained eye, these are just harmless habits. But in female psychology, this is primal signaling, the body's way of saying, your attention matters. The problem is, most men see this as confirmation and instantly overplay their hand, showering her with attention, chasing what was already leaning toward them, and in doing so they shatter the very attraction that sparked it. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In this context, it means don't rush to show her you noticed. Stoic detachment demands you witness without reacting, letting your value as a man remain self-contained, untouched by the need to validate. In the courts of ancient Athens, seasoned statesmen knew the power of holding their ground when others fidgeted or adjusted before them. It signaled an unshakable frame. Today, when she preens in your presence, it's the same dynamic. She's recalibrating herself to meet your standard. If you break that moment with obvious praise or hungry eyes, you hand over the relationship power dynamics. If you remain steady, you make her work harder for the same effect. Your practice is this. When she adjusts her appearance around you, keep your masculine control. Stay rooted in emotional discipline. Acknowledge only when it serves your frame, never her need for instant reward. Because if her preening is her silent confession, wait until you notice how she remembers the smallest details you never thought she heard. Point number 7. She remembers small details you didn't emphasize. Why does she bring up that offhand comment you made weeks ago? About the book you were reading, the coffee you prefer, the scar on your hand. You didn't highlight it. You barely remember saying it. Yet in female psychology, recalling small details is no accident. It's proof she's been cataloging you, noticing patterns, building a private map of your world. But here's the danger. Most men mistake this for loyalty, assuming her memory equals commitment. They let their guard down, surrendering masculine control long before it's earned. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When she remembers your smallest words, it means you've already colored her thoughts. But a Stoic man knows that coloring doesn't mean permanence. Emotional discipline means hearing her recall without letting it inflate your sense of value as a man. In the forums of Rome, skilled rhetoricians would plant subtle phrases in their speeches, knowing that only the most attentive would echo them later. When those echoes returned, it was a sign of influence, not ownership. The same principle applies here. Her attention to detail can signal attraction, but it can also be a test, seeing if your reaction will betray neediness or self-importance. Your practice: when she recalls something you never emphasized, acknowledge it lightly, then move forward without giving it weight. This preserves relationship power dynamics, showing her that your worth isn't tied to her attention. You lead, she follows, even in memory. Because if her memory is her quiet tell, wait until you see the way her body turns toward you, even when someone else is speaking. Point number 8. Her body points toward you even when others speak. Have you ever noticed, in a group conversation, her feet, knees, and shoulders still aim toward you, even when her words are aimed at someone else? Most men miss it. In female psychology, body orientation is one of the clearest, unconscious signs of focus, and focus is currency. But here's the trap. The moment you recognize it and start performing for it, you hand her the relationship power dynamics. You shift from being the man she's naturally drawn to the man trying to hold her attention. Epictetus said, "If you wish to be loved, love yourself." In practice, that means your value as a man must stand independent of her body language. Stoic detachment keeps you from leaning in, from adjusting yourself to match her signal. Instead, you remain still, centered, a fixed point she can orient around. In the war councils of ancient Rome, the commander didn't lean toward every speaker. He held his position. Others oriented to him, not the other way around. That unspoken gravity is the essence of masculine control. In modern relationships, her body pointing toward you is not a command to act. It's proof you already lead the frame. Your discipline. Notice without reacting. Let her physical alignment continue naturally without reward or acknowledgement. This preserves emotional control and deepens her unconscious pull. Because if her body stays trained on you in a room full of voices, wait until you see how she playfully challenges your opinions, just to spark your focus. Point number 9. She playfully challenges your opinions to spark engagement. Why does she push back when you speak? Teasing you, poking holes in your words, questioning something she probably agrees with. Most men see this as friction. In reality, it's one of the oldest plays in female psychology, the deliberate challenge to stir your energy and test your masculine control. She wants to see if you'll crack, defend yourself too hard, or abandon your position just to please her. The moment you do, the relationship power dynamics shift, and you've handed her the frame without even noticing. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Translated to this moment, it means don't mirror her emotional spikes, don't rise or drop to meet her energy. Stoic detachment keeps you calm, unshaken, and in command of your tone. In the arenas of ancient debate, skilled philosophers welcomed challenges not as threats, but as chances to display composure under fire. They didn't rush to win the crowd. They let the crowd see they couldn't be moved. Modern masculine control works the same way. When she tests you through playful disagreement, your power lies in holding your ground without hostility, firm, but light as if the test barely registered. Your discipline, answer slowly or not at all. Let her feel the weight of your stillness. Make her work to earn a reaction. That is emotional discipline in action. Because if her challenges are meant to spark your engagement, wait until you see how sharply she reacts to your absence or silence. Point number 10. She reacts strongly to your absence or silence. Why does she suddenly message you more when you've been quiet, or act irritated, almost restless when you haven't been around? In female psychology, a strong reaction to your absence isn't just missing you, it's the disruption of a rhythm she's grown used to. Most men misread this as proof of deep attachment, rushing back in to soothe her discomfort. But that's when they lose masculine control. By immediately filling the void, they teach her that her emotions dictate their presence, flipping the relationship power dynamics against themselves. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." Freedom here means the courage to hold your space even when she pulls for it. Stoic detachment reminds you that your value as a man is not measured by constant availability, but by your ability to remain still when her emotions spike. In ancient campaigns, a general's absence from the battlefield could unsettle enemies and allies alike. But a wise commander returned, only when it served his strategy, not their impatience. In modern relationships, your silence and absence can be just as powerful. They create space for her to feel your value without you proving it. Your discipline. When she reacts strongly to your distance, don't rush to erase it. Let her sit with the gap. The longer she feels it, the more she calibrates to your frame instead of you bending to hers. Because if your absence can stir her emotions, wait until you witness how her entire energy shifts the moment you finally give her your full attention. Point number 11. Her energy shifts the moment you give her full attention. Have you ever noticed how her entire demeanor changes when you finally give her your undivided attention? One moment she's calm, almost passive, and the next, she becomes magnetic, animated, every word, every glance, charged with a new intensity. It's as if your focus unlocks something in her that was dormant before. But here's the key. Most men mistake this shift for a sign of deep connection. They think that by giving her all their attention, they're earning her affection. In truth, they're handing over the relationship power dynamics. They've just shown her how much their value is tied to her validation. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In this case, that means the moment you give her your full attention, ask yourself, is it because you value her or because you need her to validate you? A Stoic understands that attention must be freely given, but not at the cost of self-discipline. In ancient Rome, leaders didn't allow their focus to be swayed by the whims of the crowd. The emperor's attention was a prize, and it was earned through consistency, through presence, not through submission. In modern relationships, giving her your focus is not about chasing or appeasing. It's about choosing the right moment, the right conversation. By doing so, you subtly remind her that your attention is not a given, it's a privilege. Your discipline, when you give her your full attention, do so with purpose, without expectation. Don't fall into the trap of overvaluing her reaction. Let her energy shift, but don't let it shift you. Because if her energy responds to your attention, wait until you see how she reacts when you withhold it, just long enough to make her wonder where you've gone. You've just seen the signs, the looks, the laughter, the subtle touches, the way her body turns toward you, the small details she remembers without reason. Each one feels flattering. Each one tempts you to lean in, to give more, to finally believe you've won her. But here's the truth most men never face. These signs are not the finish line. They are the battlefield. Every glance, every adjustment, every shift in tone is a test of your masculine control and your emotional discipline. Female psychology operates in the space between the action and your reaction. If you rush in, you fail. If you perform for the signs, you lose the relationship power dynamics. But if you hold your frame and if you remain calm, centered, and unshaken, you don't just pass the test, you flip it. You force her to keep investing, keep leaning in, keep proving herself to you. That's Stoic detachment in practice. Warmth without need, presence without surrender. Remember, a man's value is not revealed in how much attention he gets, but in how little that attention controls him. The ancient Stoics didn't seek to be irresistible, they sought to be immovable. And in a world where women constantly test without words, immovability is the most attractive quality you can own. So the next time you notice any of these signs, don't chase them. Let them come. Let them circle your gravity. And when you choose to respond, let it be from a place of power, not need. If you want to master the art of reading women without losing yourself in the process, if you want to turn every interaction into a lesson in control, subscribe to Stoic Truth. This is where we strip away the illusions, expose the tests, and forge men who cannot be moved. Your training starts now.